Welcome to the Good Morning from the Chicken Coop podcast with Kim Johnson, your creative strategist and master mindset coach. Filled with inspiration, distinctions, perspectives, and possibilities, we help you to cultivate a mindset that leads you to create the best version of yourself you could ever imagine. Join Kim every morning from one of her favorite happy places, her chicken coop, along with all her chickens.
Hey everybody, good morning from the chicken coop. So today I want to talk to you about responding in defense. Now we've spoken in the past about responding to respond or responding to react, and there is a difference between them, obviously. However, when you respond in defense, that is definitely a triggered response that's typically a learned behavior from the past. So something else has happened in your life, and then your brain has, quote unquote, learned something from it, and then it will take over and it will say, I have to use this methodology again in this situation. It may not be the exact situation, but your brain is convinced that it has to do it in order to get somewhere, so therefore it does it in order to get somewhere. And whatever that response is, it's usually not necessarily resourceful. Let's just say it that way. It's not necessarily resourceful in those moments. So when you respond in defense, instead of taking a moment and pausing, and I'm not talking about situations that are, immediate, like you're going to be mugged and you have to respond in defense, or you've got to be quick to react and you've got to be defensive to something. You see your two kids about to go into a fight and one of them's got some sort of weapon in his hand and he's about to swing it at the other one. You respond in defense and you jump in to help the situation out. I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about the ones where somebody says something and instantaneously you take it to mean the wrong thing. You are in reaction mode for sure, but you get really defensive about it. It goes beyond reaction. It goes to pure defense. Now, I myself am very guilty of this. And it's one of the things that I really need to learn to work on and continuously work on in my own mindset. Because as an only child, there was no familial picking on each other. There was teasing with my dad, sure, but there was not a razzing, really deep razzing. And my husband comes from a home where he was just used to doing that. And for me, oftentimes in his, good gestured playing, I get defensive. And immediately I make it mean something that it shouldn't mean. I get in my head about it, and right away I'm thinking, well, he must think this, or he would do that. And before I know it, I'm spinning out of control, and the driver of my bus is definitely that defensiveness. And it comes out in a nasty way, and it doesn't make the other person necessarily feel like you're even getting it. Now, are there times when you are being teased too much? Yes. Are there times when the other person needs to cut it out? Yes. But are there times when you get too defensive immediately? Of course. And I know I am guilty of this, like I said. And I don't need to shift that way. Now, here's the other tricky part. If I didn't get so defensive, if I stayed in my grounded state, if I just laughed it off, would that make the whole thing go easier? 100%. But because I choose to go down a road that's not necessarily resourceful, that can cause even more of an issue, because then it blows up into an argument. Why can't you just, hey, I'm only teasing you. Why is this such a big deal? Blah, blah, blah. And, you end up having conversations that are not necessarily conversations you want to be having, and you end up having situations that are not necessarily situations you want to be having. So everything always comes back to a state of awareness and understanding, stopping, pausing, and understanding what's really happening, and getting good at doing that in those moments, not hours later or days later or weeks later. Because some of us, it takes like a week to process things. When we're just starting this process, you got to be kind to yourself because you've never done it before. So it can take a week before you say, I thought about this and I realize where my error was. I realize where I showed up in a less than resourceful way. And you can go back and fix it, have a conversation with the person. But in the meantime, a week was lost. Or sometimes when we have really deep situations, because we responded defensively and we didn't understand where the other person was coming from, we stop relationships from it. This is probably one of the biggest things that causes fights in families, because we get so defensive we can't see the forest through the trees, and then all of a sudden everything changes. So your family is fractured, your relationships are fractured, instead of just being like, okay, I didn't need to get so defensive about this. So, and please understand that part of this cross-pollination, if you will, from something that happened in your past to something that's coming on in your present is quick. It's like lightning, because your brain's job is to try to protect you. So these things show up quickly. So you being aware is the most effective defense you have to it. You have to be aware. You have to ask the right questions. So first and foremost, one of the great questions to ask yourself is, what's really going on here? Just pause. Collect your breath. Even if you have to exit the room, go to the bathroom, it's always a good thing to be able to just say, hey, I'll be right back. I got to go to the bathroom, and get in the bathroom and say to yourself, okay, pause. What's really going on here? And ask yourself, what else could it mean? You've heard me mention this question before, but it is a powerful question, because you'll come up with an answer, what's going on here, and then you have to ask yourself, okay, what else could it mean? And then again, what else could it mean? What else could it mean? Try to come up with as many meanings as you can, as quickly as you can, because that gives you the ability to say, I'm aware and I can see what's happening. And then you can make an assessment, is defense really necessary? And most of the time, it's not, because you can pull out of defense and then have a conversation where it's more level. You're not coming at it with emotion, because defense means I'm on emotion and it's heightened. And again, when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. So we don't want to be in that reactive state, because it doesn't make us necessarily more intelligent. All it does is make us more reactive. So hopefully this gives you some food for thought for the day, and check in on yourself on your defensiveness. See how you want to respond. Stay in that state of awareness, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.